Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Anna and I'm a little bit spooky, and today we are playing with the ABH Nouveau palette and going over all the claims and kind of just a general review, creating a look and talking all about it. So yeah, this is the look I created, spoiler, and be still my heart, I'm in love. So yeah, let's go ahead and just get into the makeup. But before we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know, is there any shades in this palette you want to see me create a look with? I will be happy to do that. Are you interested in seeing a particular makeup style, say like the Siren Eye or Doe Eye, something like that? Also, let me know down below and I'll be happy to do that on my little hooded shrimp eyes. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and just get into all the details and the makeup and the beauty of the ABH Nouveau palettes. Okay, let's play with the ABH Nouveau palette. I'm so excited. I mean, I've dipped into this palette a few times, but I haven't like really dipped into it. I've only used maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 shades, 5 shades out of here. And there is so many beautiful shades within this palette that I cannot wait to get my hands in, especially those greens. You know I want to get my little paws in those greens. They're this gorgeous like sage undertone to this palette and it's so lovely. Let's talk about some of the claims and calls to this palette before we jump right in. This palette contains 12 highly pigmented shades of intense color payoff in reimagined neutrals with a natural warm color story and unique olive tones in stunning metallics and rich mattes. Versatile shades, creamy formulas to deliver endless day to night looks. Easy to apply, effortlessly blendable for everyday wear. Buildable color lets you go from natural or glam, suitable for everyday wear. They're really nailing home the everyday wear with this palette and the versatility of it. Luxurious design with large mirror, perfect for travel or at home. More bang for your buck. Now this is interesting. You get almost 200% more eyeshadow than you did with the previous ABH palettes. That's actually really cool that they have added more product, and this does retail for $55, which I believe the old ones like retailed for $49, so it's not like a gigantic jump in price. Everything has gone up, so I wouldn't have expected it to stay at the $49 price point anyway. Okay, and the shades within this palette, you do have 12 shades, and they are all really pretty. Yeah, you do have those great natural soft colors that you can really do beautiful kind of elevated everyday looks. They're not mundane. There's something kind of special about it, especially the shade Lily. I got so many compliments when I wore that shade on my lids. I just wore it like to the doctor's office and so many people complimented it. My husband even complimented it and was like, ooh, that eyeshadow is pretty. Like for him to pick out a shade and say it's pretty, I think is really cool. There's a gorgeous reflect within that one. I really love these sage colors and the olives in here paired with those beautiful peaches. And then you have the fun wisteria shade, which I actually did an all over look with it, and I'll insert a picture here. All right, let's talk about these shades. Wings, which is a metallic silver green. Isle, a metallic gold blonde. Belle, metallic antique bronze. Lily, metallic rose gold with gold reflect. Hope, a metallic olive green with gold reflect. Paloma, a matte cream ivory with sparkling reflect. Fleur, matte golden peach. Liberty, matte muted hunter green. Peacock, a duochrome with a bluish green, brown, and pink reflect. Metro, matte rich clay. Muse, metallic dark chocolate brown. There's a few shades in here that are they're really just mattes, but they say they have a reflect in them. To me, they're just very like a satin shade rather than a matte shade. To the eye, when you look at the palette, you don't see anything metallic about those shades, but in application and swatch, you see a little bit of like a glow, like almost like an ambient lighting powder glow to those shades. They're just a really pretty satin, soft satin finish where they're almost matte. There's not like shimmer in them, and they're very, very creamy. All the mattes in here are beautiful. The formula doesn't seem quite as dusty as previous ABH palettes, and it's just very lovely formula altogether. The metallics have performed really well so far. The only shades I haven't used really are the greens. I actually love this super dark metallic brown. It's not overly metallic and it is a great deepening up shade. It's like a blackened brown, so it can really deepen a shade, look up without it being harsh. It makes a great like liner shade, outer crease. It's just really versatile and beautiful and blends like an absolute dream. Everything in here has blended beautifully. So let's get started on the look, and enough chit chat. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below on this palette. I'm really in love with it and I wanted to dive into it sooner, but I had to take a little break. But man, I just absolutely love the colors in here. It's one of those palettes I look at and I just think there's something so beautiful and elegant about it. It just appeals to me all around. It's unique. It's kind of murky in a way. It's not super vibrant. There's just this kind of soft, it has those kind of unique off the beaten path shades that one doesn't normally think of as neutral or everyday, but these somehow within this palette just work. I think you could definitely find these shades in other palettes, especially Peacock. That's a super common shade. But there's something about this altogether that I think is just absolutely beautiful and just is very cohesive. I think the packaging on this edition is gorgeous as well. I like the linen finish. It doesn't get dirty or nasty. It's not the velvet, thank goodness. And the inside is this beautiful soft gold finish. Really good mirror within. It is a great little palette. All right. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take Paloma. That is the lightest, what they call it's the light ivory shade, and I'm going to take that just under the brow. And you can see there is like a slight glow from this shade, but it's not shimmery. It is truly a beautiful satin tone. I love when ABH puts these kind of satiny shades in their palettes, and Urban Decay does them too. And I just think they're so pretty, and very few brands can get them so softly elegant. Like satin shades aren't always created equally. I think Urban Decay does a good job on them, and ABH really just knocks it out of the park because they have that just grace about them where they just flow on. They allow for easy blending, and they just create a very skin-like finish on the lid. It's not chalky, overly matte, or anything like that. It's just perfect. All right, I'm gonna clean that little brush off, and I'm gonna go into a little bit of Fleur just to start building the look. I'm going to take that kind of into the crease area, socket line, like so. And yeah, these do blend like a dream. The pigmentation is quite buildable as well. You can get a very soft wash of color, or you can really build these shades up. The formula is quite nice. And yet there is a little kick up in the pan, but it's more like the kick up you see from a ColourPop palette rather than like, say, Modern Renaissance had or Subculture. I'm just taking that like right through here just to get a little something going. And this is a palette, I think with ABH shadows, the easiest or the best way to apply them and to pick them up with your brush is just to simply like have a softer hand and just pat in like this. Don't go digging your brush around in them. I feel like people did that with the Subculture palette, and they were just really scrubbing in there and doing it on purpose, making it look worse than it was. I mean, you know, that palette was definitely not perfect, but my gosh, settle down. Like, this is like Subculture's soft summer cousin, if you will. It's the light, airy cousin that comes into town to visit. They describe on the website this palette as ethereal, and I think that is a great descriptor for this palette. It does have a kind of an ethereal quality to it, and it's really gorgeous. And I think even though it's a summer launch, I definitely think this is going to be able to carry you through the fall and look so pretty, because you do have those that hunter green in there, and that dark Muse shade, Hope, Peacock, and then the deeper peachy tone. You're definitely going to have some nice versatility in here, and this could be a fantastic go-to palette for a lot of people. I found myself wanting to reach for it on a daily basis just because there's a ease to this palette and just something very beautiful. One thing I do want to point out is that they describe Lily as having like gold shimmers in it, and when I look at it, myself, I see like fuchsia almost shimmers rather than gold. Some of the descriptions of the shades throw me off a little bit because it's not what I see when I look at them. Now I'm going to go ahead and dive into Liberty, and I'm going to take that a little bit lower into the crease and a little more concentrated, and I'm going to just kind of focus in on the outer corner to begin with, where I want the most pigmentation of the shade. I'm working with a pointed crease brush from Sonia Kashuk, and I'm just going to kind of wiggle that right in there and softly start to blur that over. And you can get such a beautiful, just soft application from this. In a way, these greens remind me a bit of the Melt Gemini, Gemini 2, the murkiness and the kind of not in your face green. Like there's something deceptive about them in a way, or just they're not, your eye doesn't immediately look at them and say, oh my god, that's green eyeshadow. There's just this soft kind of saginess to them that I think is really pretty. Very unique. Of course, Melt Gemini 2 does lean way deeper and definitely more grungy feeling, which I love. And this is like kind of a softer counterpart to it with these greens. And I'm just doing a soft application right now just to see what it does, because I'm just curious about this shade. It's not getting muddy at all so far. They play well with each other within this palette, which is not always the case with ABH eyeshadow palettes or like Norvina palettes. Not every color is made to play well with one another, and not every formula is created equally. And I've found with like the big Norvina palettes or what my little bit of experience with them, I've used 2 of them, and I found them to be very like chalky and just not fun to use. This is definitely closer to the traditional ABH formula that is effortless, beautiful. Really does remind me a lot of Modern Renaissance with the performance. I haven't bought an ABH palette, I think, since the Carly Bible one, so I'm a little behind if they've changed formulas or anything. Now I'm going to take Liberty on a little bit more of a concentrated brush here. This is a Morphe M52, and I'm going to try to kind of pack this out here and just see what it does. Build it up a bit. I don't know if this is necessarily the best brush for this. It's quite small. Yeah, see that is building really nicely, and it has like almost a, I wouldn't call it gray, but like a coolness to it. It's definitely a nice way of doing like a cooler look without going into like grays and taupes. And of course, I'm a huge fan of green eyeshadow. I love every shade of green eyeshadow, but I definitely have ones I prefer over others. And I really like unique kind of gray or green tones that you wouldn't traditionally maybe put around the eyes, especially like in the original Gemini palette, like those weird swampy colors. I love that. And I think like Natasha Denona Metropolis, that's my kind of color story. And this is like just a muted, soft, pretty romantic version of that. Like there's something about this palette that's just giving me all the feels. And that shade is applying beautifully. How pretty is that? It's perfect. It's such a pretty tone. I think it could look really pretty with Peacock or any of the other shades within this palette. And it offers a bit of a coolness. Like, I don't think this palette leans cool or warm. It's definitely right in the middle, very neutral as far as its undertones go. You have primarily warmer transition shades within here, but they're not orangey. You know, they're just warm. This is one of those palettes I think that it can just make you feel pretty. You know how you just want to like use a palette that makes you just feel good and pretty and kind of elegant. This is that type of palette. The way like a Charlotte Tilbury palette makes me feel like when I use Smoky Eyes Forever, that kind of vibe. It's that feeling that I get from this. And I think they did a really good job on this color story. You see that is blending, no patchiness. I'm just using very soft grazing motions to blend and smoke out those edges. Working kind of slow and just kind of painting. It's just my kind of personal technique of applying eyeshadow is just soft application and then building. And I'm not seeing any patchiness or anything. It's just flowing on beautifully. Now I'm going to grab my fluffy brush once again. I'm going to clean it off the little pointed crease. I'm just going to blur around and soften these shades out. Just very softly where the point of the brush is the only thing really touching the skin, and these other little hairs are just kind of grazing over and they're not making like hard contact. Let's maybe go over to a bit of Hope and see what that does on the lid. I'm going to kind of marry that into Liberty. I'm just seeing so many different looks that I'm having a hard time sticking to one idea here, so I'm going to try to contain myself, not use a million shades. Oh, look how pretty. I'm just going to pat that on. And my brush is completely dry. You know, not doing anything to help it out. It is just flowing on so beautifully. That has such a pretty glow to it. Look at that, is gorgeous. It definitely does read green, but softly. Oh, I love that. That is very pretty. I am getting some fallout under here, which is par for the course with the ABH. You're gonna get fallout. And I try to be careful, but I'm very messy. I've been really working on trying to be a little bit more tidy when I apply my eyeshadow. Because it was something I really cared about before, but I'm just kind of getting where I just want to try to be a little more tidy with it. I don't Fallout City. Shimmers are definitely gonna fall out on you. Just because they're smooth, but they do have a little bit of a flex in there that are gonna fall down. Like they have kind of micro sparkles in them. And I am tapping my brush off in between. Oh, that is so lovely. Let me kind of pull that up just a bit. Very nice. I really like that shade. It's just beautiful, mossy kind of green. Let me see, how do they describe Hope? A muted olive green, or metallic olive green with gold reflect. Yeah, that is a pretty good description. And I believe Liberty was described as the muted hunter green. All right, let's try a bit of wings on this kind of middle part and let it flow over into Hope. Let's see how that does with that silvery undertone. And I feel like that would just really brighten up the center of the eye a bit. And I've cleaned the brush off in between. I'm just gonna pat that on. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that is so pretty. It's this gorgeous brightness right there. Lovely. And very, very smooth and just creamy, this shade. And I don't think I have anything in my collection that looks like this shade. It's pretty unique, I would say. Ooh, yeah, that is so pretty. Very opaque. I'm gonna kind of pull that up just a bit so it is visible when my eyes are relaxed. It's kind of a nice soft kind of halo situation. And I don't feel like this is emphasizing any texture on my lids while still being beautifully metallic and vibrant. I'm just diffusing that color up ever so slightly. I'm going to jump back over to Hope for just a second here and just make sure there's a nice little merge between those two shades. I think I'm going to take a little bit more of Hope on the inner part of the lid here and to kind of create a nice little halo look. I'm just going to pat that on right there on the inner part. And let that flow over into wings. Yeah, it's being very graceful on a little bit of crinkliness I have on my inner part of my lid there. It's not emphasizing it. I think if you didn't want this to look any heavier, you could just take a bit of Paloma and put that in this blank spot, and that would be really pretty. Kind of wish I'd thought about that before I did this, in fact. And take bits more wings. And I'm just kind of painting between the shades, getting a nice blend, and making sure everything looks the way I want it. And that just gives it such a, like, movement, you know? I'm just going to grab this little Morphe brush right here. This is an M562. I'm just going to grab what brushes are clean and in front of me. I'm just going to come right around this edge very softly and kind of just soften that out. Make sure there's no harsh lines. Maybe take a little bit of Fleur You can just tickle that around those edges and get a little bit of definition. All right, and I can take a little bit more liberty, I think, and on that same brush and just pull up and out on this outer corner. Get some lift to the eye, which I know I love. Like this new Siren Eye business, I am here for it. Have I tried it yet? Kinda. But oh, that's an eye look made for me. So even though I'm doing a little bit like a halo situation, I'm still pulling this out and creating that lift. It has a beautiful inner corner shade. You can kind of catch that glow from it when you're really concentrated like that. That is a formula that I think would be gorgeous on more mature lids that might have a bit of crepiness. This is a way to incorporate something kind of shiny and glowy without emphasizing any texture. But I do think mature eyelids would actually really enjoy this palette. And I think ABH shadows are very mature lid friendly in their formulas. Okay, that is so pretty on the inner corner. My dog is wanting to grump at everything. She's waiting for her papa to get home. She knows today's a little bit different because he went into work later because he's actually at a class. And she is just, where's papa? Today's schedule is just off slightly. He went in an hour later and she noticed. But oh, so pretty. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little liner brush. And I'm going to take the shade Muse and use that as my eyeliner today. Hello liner brush. Here we go. My favorite one. This is the little pawpaw brush. It's the liner brush from the Rose Gold set. It's my favorite little angle liner brush. There's something about it I just absolutely love. So I'm going to dab into Muse. And we're just going to tap that, press that right into the outer lash line for some lash definition. And I'm just sticking to right out here. And I'm going to softly just flick that out, barely touching the skin. So it just kind of flows and just disappears. There's something a little bit whimsical about this palette with the Wisteria shade. It has a very almost like cottagecore feel in one respect. I think of that, and then other ways I look at this and I think of very verging on that clean girl aesthetic into like that just a pretty little more minimal glam, if you know what I mean, like it's just softer. All right, I'm gonna clean this little brush off and just soften that right there. And this shade is just beautiful for like that, like I have definition there, but you can't like say pinpoint that and be like, oh, there's eyeliner on. It's just a soft definition and shadow. All right, I'm gonna clean up this fallout. I don't have much, just a little bit, and I'm gonna do my face makeup, and we'll be back for lower lash line, finishing touches, and some final thoughts on the palette. And I definitely will have some more tutorials coming, and IG reels, all the things. So I'll see y'all in just a second. Okay, let's do the lower lash line. I just went ahead and touched my brows up too while I was off camera, and did a little bit of contour, bronzing with my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. All right, and for foundation, I use the number 7 Protect for Perfect Advanced All-in-One Foundation. This is still a banger. Just a good one. Good foundation. And concealer, NYX Bear With Me Concealer Serum. Loving this one as well. This is a newer addition to my routine and I'm quite enjoying it. All right, let's go ahead and finish this up. Oh, and powder. I use the ABH translucent powder in, I guess, pure white, the translucent shade. Just revisiting that one. Okay, lower lash line time now that I'm done rambling at you. I'm gonna go back with that little Morphe brush. Where did it go? My little 152 rather. Clean that off, and I'm gonna go straight into, I think, Liberty. And I'm gonna just focus that on one side of the brush. I'm just gonna press it in gently, and then I'm going to take the side with the product on it and tuck that right here on that outer corner and let that flow across just very softly and join up to that upper eyeshadow just for a little definition. All right, I'm gonna take a bit of Fleur, same thing, one side of the brush, clean the brush off in between, I'm going to scrunch my eye a little bit and use this to just come across just below that and kind of blend that out and bring it in just a bit, just to hug that curve of my eye. It's very subtle, but you can still see like some definition there. Clean the brush off again. I think I'm going to take a little bit of yall. We haven't used that one. That is the blonde golden shade. I'm going to take just a bit of that on the same brush, tap it off. I'm going to take that kind of on this inner, just past the tear duct area. I think that looks pretty there. Yeah. This is a very smooth eyeshadow. This kind of gives an interesting little glow in that portion. This has like a peachiness within it as well, like a peachy kind of shift. And a gold flash. Very pretty. That's a unique kind of golden shade. And take a little more Paloma. And just pat right there into the very inner part. And that's all I'm going to do on the lower lash line. I don't want to add any like a lot of darkness. I like how kind of soft and light this look feels. Like it feels very airy and not heavy, even though there's still some color and some shine and some fun going on. It's just restrained in a way. So I'm going to go back to my little pointed crease here. Make sure it's clean. And just do any last minute blending. I think I'm going to take just a little more Fleur right here. All right, nice. I'm going to do a little mascara. And for mascara, I'm just going to grab my Curl Bounce from Maybelline. It's one I'm trying to work through at the moment. And I'm going to curl my lashes really quickly. Okay, and that is mascara done. I think that just really brought the look to life on the eyes. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just do some blush real quick and highlighter. For blush, I'm going to take the Milani, the Rose blush in 08 Tea Rose, which is this really pretty kind of warm, rosy, mauve-y color. It's just a rosy blush. I just feel like this color would complement the eye look perfectly and the lip that I'm planning. Yep, perfect shade. This blush just has a nice softness to it. It's not overly pigmented. It's just a kiss of color. It's also a shade that's quite native to my skin tone. For highlighter, I'm going to take the highlight within the Bronze and Glow palette from Charlotte Tilbury and take a little bit of this on the high points. It's such a deceptively glowy highlight. And it's just so skin-like. It is probably my number one highlighter, really. I'm gonna take BFF2 from ColourPop and give my lips a little line. I'm gonna soften that liner with my finger. Just gonna give it a blend. All right, and then for lipstick, I'm going to take the Milani Nude Fetish lipstick in the shade Secret, and I feel like that just matches the blush perfectly. This actually makes a beautiful blush, by the way. Could have just done that today. And to finish lips off, I'm going to do just a touch of gloss. This is Moon from Maybelline, the Lifter Gloss. I'm just going to take a tiny bit. I always get like way too much on the applicator with this and it gets everywhere. And I just dab it in the center. And lastly, some setting spray and zhuzh the hair. I'm gonna be like Tati and I'm gonna whip out my super fancy hair dryer here and dry my setting spray. This is the 1875 Pro from Kiss and it is a whopping $20 at Walmart. I'm gonna put that on that cool setting. And dry my face. Hair's a little bit crazy. We're in the curly girl transition phase. The hair doesn't know what it wants to do at the moment. Like it knows it wants to curl, but it also wants to fight me. I don't even know anymore. Some days the curls are beautiful and tight and lovely, or the waves, rather. I don't have curls, I have waves. And then we have days like today where it's just loose and beachy. I'm having trouble with the curl clumps. That's been my struggle. But I'm in that awkward curly girl transition phase where some days you have amazing curls, waves, whatever. Other days, not so much. Today is a not so much day. I think I just have some product buildup that I need to sort. Okay, all right, I think we're done. I'm done messing with my hair anyway, because I've messed with it enough today. So here's my finished look using the ABH Nouveau palette, and I love it. I think this is such a beautiful look. It's like, this is ethereal, this look, and I think it's beautiful. It is so light, just romantic, but not your typical romantic colors. Like, we didn't do pinks on the eyes, which I usually think of for like a date night or something romantic. These soft, sagey greens are just kind of perfect, and I'm here for it. Also, good skin day too, hell yeah. But overall, thoughts on this palette? We're in a committed relationship now. We're in love. It is polyamorous, our relationship. It's open because I do have quite a few palette partners, but me and this palette are definitely vibing, and yeah, we're in it to win it with each other, and I like it. I like it a lot. I think the quality is beautiful. I think this would be great for more mature eyes as well. This is definitely a palette that can lend itself across the board to multiple ages and skin textures and like eyelid textures, and perform beautifully, and you'll be happy with it. And it's a nice way to kind of start to play with a little bit of color in your look without getting too outside the box and crazy with color. Like, this is sophisticated color, and I love it. And I think this is just a beautiful winner of a palette. ABH, you done good. I hope to see more things like this from you guys in the future that are beautiful and different. This to me has something unique about it. I think there is, like, I watched Jen Phelps, and she did point out like a couple of dupey palettes. Like, I think it was the Lust to Dust palette from ColourPop, and that's always a palette that caught my eye. And I do think there's a little overlap, but the greens in here are just so unique, and just the some of the nuance within the shades is quite unique and a little bit different than anything I have in my collection. So yeah, that is all for today. Thank you for hanging out with me. And if you want to see some more looks with this palette, any colors in particular you want to see looks with, or styles of makeup, do you want to see a siren eye or a doe eye or a soft everyday looks, amped up super glam, let me know down below, and I will be happy to do that for you, because I love playing in makeup. Just any excuse. Yeah, that is all for today. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye now.